Welcome to the last in our series of videos on disaster preparedness. You've been very busy, Jane. I understand that you've already completed your assessment and developed some new ideas about how you intend to deal with a disaster.
Yes, and I've really enjoyed the process. I feel a lot better, and so do my staff. I can't believe we've never thought about some of these things before.
That's a pretty common feeling when someone's done a real assessment. Knowing what you want to do is a good start.
But the reality is, I'm just not sure how I'm going to do all of this stuff. I don't have the people or the budget to get it all done.
That's also a very common feeling. That's the subject of this video, how to actually make progress with your plan. I'd like to introduce you to a concept called strategic planning.
Another plan? Don't I have enough to do already?
This one is a bit different. Our disaster plans are what we use in an actual event. A strategic plan is really a management tool. It's a way to make sure your disaster plan needs are considered when you're deciding on your budget and operating plans.
So what you're really talking about is making disaster preparedness part of my regular business.
That's correct. We want to make disaster preparedness part of our business, not something done in addition to our business.
I could see where that would make more sense than how we do it now. How do we get started?
I always like to begin by identifying the key people who will be working with you on the plan. The most obvious ones are your staff, but you should consider including some of your clients in the planning process to benefit from their perspective.
Can I also ask for some outside help, like the fire department and maybe the local office of emergency services?
Sure, that's a great idea. You can include anyone that you think will either have to work with the plan or who can give you advice. Think of these key people as an advisory group to help guide and support your preparedness program.
Sort of helping to share the load, right?
Exactly. Now let's look over your to-do list from your assessment. You'll find that some of the items naturally fit into broad categories. These will then become your goals.
I'm not sure that I understand that. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you wanted your staff to take the Community Emergency Response Team training offered by the fire department. You'd also like to train your staff on the duties in an evacuation. These two could be listed under a goal titled Provide Preparedness Training to Staff.
Oh, I see. So by needing to get written agreements and a transportation plan for a relocation could go under something like develop a relocation plan.
Great, that's how you do it. This grouping of similar items is the first step in organizing your to-do list. The groups are goals, broad statements of what we want to achieve.
Well, it looks organized, but aren't I just reshuffling my list?
Yes, but that's only the start. We all know that goals aren't enough because they really don't get things done. However, the items that you've placed under each can be developed into what we call performance objectives. A performance objective is a measurable statement of what you want to accomplish.
So I need to be specific about what I want done.
That's right, but you also want to have some measure so you will know when it's done. For example, let's look back at our CERT training. Your performance objective should be specific. Do you want to train all staff or just key staff?
Well, I'd like it to be all staff, but I'm not sure I can get that done this year.
Not to worry. One of the things about a strategic plan is that we can use it for multi-year periods. Our goal might be to train all staff, but our performance objective for this year could be to train half or a third of the staff.
So I need to add a date component to my objective that says by when I want it done. You know, that would make sure we continue to work on this even if we can't get it done all at once.
That's the idea. But there's more to our performance objective. To make it work, someone has to be responsible for it.
So I have to decide who will be responsible for the objective.
But remember, that person doesn't necessarily have to do it all by themselves. However, they are responsible for making sure it gets done.
So let me see if I've got all the pieces for my performance objective. A statement of what I want done, a way of measuring when it's done, a date by which it must be done, and someone responsible for doing it.
Good so far, Jane, but you're leaving out two important pieces.
What's that?
Well, that person that's responsible is going to need some resources to get it done, right?
Resources? Oh, you mean money?
Well, resources can be many things, such as staff time or a reallocation of equipment. But for most of the things we deal with, there will be a cost factor. We need to determine what it will cost to meet the objective, but just as important, where we will get the funds we need.
You know, I should have thought of that. Money is always a problem.
That's why many emergency plans don't get the resources they need. Your performance objective isn't real until you know how you will pay for it. If you can't figure out a way to pay for it, even if it's in the future, you may need to rethink your response strategy.
I'm beginning to see why this can be such a useful tool in actually making things happen. I really have to think things out.
The strategic plan has many other uses as well. It fosters an agreement among your advisory group as to who will do what. If you can't agree as to who will meet an objective, you need to either do some serious negotiation or rethink your response strategy.
So the strategic plan helps to keep my disaster plan real.
That's right. It coordinates the activities of a lot of people to achieve your goals.
Any other uses I should know of?
You can also use a strategic plan to justify items in your budget. Again, if it's in the strategic plan but not in the budget, the objective isn't real. I always try to get the strategic plan approved at the highest possible level so that there's no question about it being integrated into the budget.
But there will always be higher budget priorities.
Well, the strategic plan isn't a magic wand. You still have to make your case, but you'll know which items in your plan are most important, how much they cost, and possible sources of funds. You'll have done your homework.
That would certainly put me in a better position to get what I need.
That's the idea. You can also use the strategic plan to demonstrate your progress. You should review it each year and note whether or not an objective was met. Sometimes an objective is no longer relevant and you can drop it. Others you may need to defer to the next year. Either way, you will have a record of your progress.
That would be useful to show my board that I'm doing a good job in preparedness planning. It could also show why I need more staff or funding. Very useful indeed. Will it work for other programs?
The strategic plan is a business concept that's been around for a long time. It will work with all of your programs, not just disaster preparedness.
Just to make sure, can you review the process one more time?
Sure. It's just a systematic way of approaching any project. First, we assessed our readiness against the GGRC standard and considered the unique needs of our clients. This gave us a long to-do list. Next, we reworked that to-do list into a series of goals and objectives. Finally, for each objective, we identified what we wanted done, how we will know when it's done, when it must be completed, who will do it, what it will cost, and how we will pay for it.
You know, when we started, I didn't think we could get everything done, but this system really makes it doable.
That's great to hear. I really hope that this video series has helped you develop a strategy for coping with a disaster. Don't forget to check out the information on our website at www.ggrc.org.